guys, welcome back to my channel. This is I am Mickey Marie. I am Mickey Marie. I am Mickey Marie. And welcome back to my channel. And today is not necessarily a story time. However, I will include some story times. But I am in celebration of my 3-year sober anniversary as of August 8th. And so I thought it'd be a cool video to make to basically just kind of have that kind of conversation about my sobriety journey, how I even became an alcoholic in the first place, which hence the story times will be in there. I probably won't do too many, but yeah. And just me, celebrating. How am I gonna celebrate? I don't know. Obviously not with alcohol. But honestly, I'm just celebrating by being grateful. Grateful that I even got here. Grateful that I've made it this far. Grateful that I haven't stumbled. Grateful that I haven't really had any setbacks. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. I just feel like I'm one of those people where if I had a setback, I probably would be still setback. So I'm just grateful that I haven't had any. And I don't think that I will. I don't really get tempted by alcohol. I guess most likely it's because the bulk of my alcoholism was between the last, before these 3 years, that last 6 years of my life. However, I think in my healing journey, I have discovered that I have had a problem with alcohol since I was 18, but I don't think I counted that as being like an alcoholic. Because I think I looked at it then that I wasn't drinking every day. I wasn't drinking every weekend. I wasn't drinking constantly. But when I did, it was a mess. It was for sure a mess. But I think I looked at it like, oh, I was just young. Which, cool. And I would have given it that or left it with that if I didn't become an alcoholic. But the fact that I became an alcoholic makes me feel like I had been having alcohol problems. So to start that off with, I started drinking when I was 18. But the people that I grew up around, the COs, the ones I don't really have story times about them, but they're in there because, they were who I was living with sometimes. They were alcoholics. So I grew up around a lot of alcohol constantly. And constant parties with grown ass people drinking like crazy, doing wild ass weird ass shit amongst a bunch of children. And it gave me a lot of trauma. I had a lot of trauma towards alcohol. I had a lot of trauma towards men. I had a lot of trauma towards sex or anything sexual or anything of an intimacy. I carried a lot of that trauma with me throughout my life. And now that I'm healing those different aspects, it's funny because I just had a discovery today where I realized sometimes I think when men are attractive, I don't think of them as people I can just be friends with. And obviously I've had attractive friends, but I think somewhere in there, I'm not being my authentic, genuine self because I'm kind of ruminating on the idea that they may like me or I like them. Because growing up, it just seemed like everybody was fucking everybody. Like all these adults are constantly drunk and they just seem like they're all fucking each other. And there's no chance that anyone can just be attractive and they could just still be friends. Or when I started to get older and, grew into my, I guess, being attractive, it just seemed like they couldn't look at me like just a fucking person. I'm just a person. I'm just growing. I'm making mistakes. I'm learning. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm not making mistakes. Sometimes I'm just doing well. And it shouldn't have anything to do with what I look like. Now, it's not like I'm saying it as if I think I'm the hottest person in the world. I mean, you can have any sort of attractiveness to you. Well, I do. But I'm not saying other people will look at me like I'm the most attractive person in the world. But it was just like, if you could have any slight attractiveness about you, nice hair, nice skin, nice lips, nice ass, nice titties, nice, or a good figure, and it just seems like everyone thinks that everybody wants to fuck them, or everybody wants to fuck everybody. And I didn't know how to, like, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't make sense to me, because I didn't want to have sex with everybody, and I damn sure didn't want everybody wanting to have sex with me. Yeah, so it's something that I think I've just realized. Not that I want to have sex with every attractive man, or that I think every attractive man wants to have sex with me, but I just realized today, actually, that I think I don't give my full authentic self. Like, I'm very goofy, but I don't think I'm as goofy as I would be if I was not attracted to someone, or if the person was the same sex. Because, like, the other day, I went to this art thing with my sisters, and, like, I guess I'm being more aware of myself. Like, how do I act? Like, who am I? Like, I'm healing things, so I'm just like, who am I? Who am I authentically? And sometimes I just say a bunch of really silly ass stupid shit. If it hits, it hits. If it misses, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I'll probably be laughing about it anyway. And it doesn't bother me if someone doesn't think that something I said is funny. And I don't, like, get big-headed if I'm cracking everybody the fuck up. Like, that's me. But, like, today, I'm realizing around other different people, I'm not the same. I'm not. I think I'm a little bit more, because I don't think I'm like, but I think I'm more that than I am silly goofy. So I had decided today to release that and just be myself. Like, I feel like I'm always being myself, but there's a part of me that's just not, it's not clicking. Like, I'm not being that. Especially if I think that the other person is attractive. Like, if they think I'm attractive, it's like a slight where I'm not being as silly and goofy. But when I think somebody else is attractive and they're trying to be goofy with me, it's like, I'm like, like a fucking deer caught in the headlights. Like, it's not computing. So I've decided I'm working on that. But I feel like the men sexual kind of things, I hold a lot of shame with that, because I'm not a low libido person. And so I'm a very high libido person. And I feel like if not that I would express that, like I'll just be, I'm high libido. Not like that, but with my person, I feel odd expressing that. Or I feel odd being the person who says, like, hey, versus, like, I gotta wait for them to, you know what I mean? Or, like, I think it's weird if I never turn them down. And then it's also, I don't like being hyped for that either. I don't want to hear, oh, you're different from other women because then I'm not a sexual fucking object just because I like sex. I don't want someone to just look at me like that, like I'm nothing else, because, like I said, I'm naturally goofy and silly. So if I'm not sitting around, and I've dealt with this in relationships, where it's like, okay, you have an idea about me because of this thing, but that's not who I am all the time. I'm not busting wide open 24/7. And then as soon as you're not doing that, then they assume, like, oh, it was a show. But it's like, I'm never being like, oh, I got a headache. So don't think it's gonna go, like, I don't know, like I feel like my exes would be, like, fearful that my libido will change. But it's like, if that can't be all we are, is, oh, please don't lose that libido. You know what I mean? Like, we do other shit. We should do other shit. Some motherfuckers, niggas don't be doing shit. But that's why I don't like relationships like that. Because I don't want to sit around, smoke weed, drink, fuck. Sit around, smoke weed, drink, eat, fuck. Now, I'm more than that. But that is still a part of me. And I don't like feeling like I have to hide that, or have shame or guilt for that, or that feeling that if I have that, then that means I should be having sex all day, every fucking day. No, I'm not going to do that. I have a life. And growing up in that environment, it just seems like no one can just be around each other and be attractive or attracted to someone without it being fucking weird. And then, mind you, there's kids everywhere. So I feel like alcohol made that 10 times worse. 10 times worse, because it just seems like every conversation was sexual. There's always a sexual innuendo. There's always a sexual joke. And then as kids, you're not allowed to be like, what are y'all talking about? You know what I mean? You're gonna get your ass whooped. You gotta stay out of grown folks' business or stay in a child's place. But it's not like anyone's sugarcoating anything. You know what I mean? Like, there was a point where me and my best friend was at her house, and her mother and this guy, I'm assuming she was, was literally watching a movie where the sex scene was so fucking explicit that it terrified me. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, you would have thought it was a porno, but it wasn't. It was a movie. But the scene was so explicit, and no one turned it off. It's stuff like that, but constantly. And then everybody's drunk. Everybody's drinking. So it's like, it's not computing to them. So that's like, to me, the beginning of and then constantly moving, and it's just like alcohol, abuse, sex, moved a lot. No stability whatsoever. And throw in a little bit of, what do they call it? Food insecurity. And I'm not saying like my story is unique to anybody else's. I'm just saying that was the foundation. So I used to be interested in alcohol just because at a very young age, I realized that alcohol has them thinking that this isn't as terrible as it is. It has them thinking that this is fun. And they're not seeing it through the eyes of those of us who aren't drinking, which makes it all very fucking terrifying. Because it's like things are constantly happening. If it's not violent, it's sexual. And if it's not violent or sexual, then it's this alone feeling, like this really dark, gloomy, alone. Like you feel alone. Even when you're in a house full of people, you just feel so fucking alone. Because it feels like everyone's in their own heads about where they would rather be other than here. Everybody. Including me. So I didn't wait till I was 21 to start drinking. I started drinking at 18. And that's when we used to get into the bars and shit like that, and we would get drinks because people we knew the bartender. I got to stop wearing these damn things if I keep this stuff be itchy. Anyways, yeah. So the person that we used to hang out with, my ex, the story time about Landon, all that is when I started drinking heavy. Is when I went back to New York. But my heavy was maybe like once every other weekend. Yeah, but I would get like really bad hangovers. I projectile vomited once. Woo! That shit was crazy. Like, I was in the bathroom and I'm at the stall trying to help my ex-bestie, Desi. I was trying to hold the door for her because it kept opening, so I was just standing right there in front of her. But I threw up all the way to the other side of the bathroom where the sink is. So basically my throw up shot at the mirror. And it was so much. And it was green. It was fucking crazy. It looked like some Exorcist shit for real. Maybe not as green, but like it was apples. I think I was throwing up apples, green apples. Yeah, so when I ended up coming back to Vegas after the situation with me and Landon happened, obviously I wasn't drinking anymore because the CEOs were very strict people. Crazy, right? Because they were still alcoholics, but they were very, I say strict, they were very controlling people. So it's not like I ever thought I was going to go back there and be getting slapped. I knew I wasn't going to be able to drink. Period. Because then I had curfews. Like, it... And not to say that I feel like they should have allowed me to drink. It was just the controllingness was so overbearing. It was insane. But anyways, when I went back, that's when they had set me up to be in that fucking shitty ass apartment in Hoover where I got my first robbery. And that's where I met Ajax at. When I worked at that job. And then I slightly started, like when I would go out with friends, or like when we went to that little get together thingy at the I'm Dominican at her apartment. She had drinks, so I was drinking, but I wasn't drinking heavy. So it was just like very rare occasions that I would drink. It wasn't until I met It wasn't until I met Bernard that I would drink more consistently. Not alcoholic level, but just more consistent. Just more, like, it was like margaritas, those canned burrito thingies. It'd be like lime-a-rita or grape-a-rita, like those. But he used to drink a lot. Now, mind you, I actually didn't realize he was an alcoholic until way after, when me and him had broke up and we were having a conversation, because I was like basically telling him, like, you did this shit, and he's like, I don't even remember that. I was probably drunk. And I'm like, you used to drink that much? Because I don't think I ever realized he was drinking a lot. Like, he used to drink these things called kinkies. He was like, kinky time. But to me, I just remember it being like sporadic. I don't think I remember it as if it was every day. But then, like, once I got pregnant, it got to a point where, you know, I don't really think we were even consistently seeing each other. And then I would move or leave him, and yeah, so I didn't know he was a drunk. But I do know that I drank more once me and him got together. But to me, it was at least sporadic enough to be like once every 2 weeks. To me personally, it did not feel like we were doing too much. Well, eventually he was doing too much. But I found that out way after. After I had my son, when I had decided to officially leave him, I haven't told a story time about that yet though, because that's a rough one. About as rough as me telling, honestly, alcohol story times. But yeah, after I officially left him, I got into wine. And because I ended up moving back with the COs temporarily, they were still drinking, but just not the same ways when I was younger. They weren't like partying, like, you know, they were like within the, you know, confines of their home, but they were still drinking pretty heavily. And so because one of the COs used to drink a lot of champagne, I kind of connected with her by drinking like wine. Or sometimes we would drink champagne together. Basically falsely thinking that I was getting close with her because we had this thing. And that turned into me drinking wine too fucking much. But my too much was like, I'd buy those little bottles, those tiny little bottles. And yeah, like I would have like one or two of those tiny little bottles. And then one or two of those tiny little bottles turn to one or two or four. And that was like every weekend. Until I got to a point where I realized when we're drinking, everything's cool. But, you know, the next day, it just felt like I was being slighted a lot. Oh, you got to buy your own food, which, you know, duh. I was at that point, I was like, what, 22? So I'm like, it's not that it like bothered me that I had to buy my own food. What bothered me is that when I bought my own food or my child's food, then it turned into, oh, you're taking up too much space in the refrigerator, or you need to get you a mini fridge. And it's like, okay, it just felt like they were getting to that point again where they were tired of me, and so they were trying to make life difficult for me. So I ended up just moving the fuck out. And that time I moved out at 22. Wait, was it 22? Oh no, I got tired of that shit. And then I moved out into this like suite, like a Seagull suite. And the Seagull Suite was fucking terrible. So they tried to get me to come back once they saw that the Seagull Suite was this roach infested ass place. But I just had too much heart. My pride was like, no. And I am terrified of roaches, mind you. But I just couldn't see myself just keep dealing with them. And so, then I ended up going back to New York. But I knew it was going to be temporary. I wanted it to be temporary. But then once I actually got there, I was afraid I was going to get stuck there. Because we're talking Buffalo, New York. We're not talking about, Empire State of Mind and shit. Yeah, but while I was there, me and Desi had reconnected. This was after the Landon situation. We had reconnected, so we would have our girls' nights. And I picked up wine more doing those girls' nights. Because for us, it was just like she had her first child, I had my first child. We were going through some serious man troubles because Bernard was, doing time, and he kept wanting to get back together, and something kept eating at me, like, I don't know, I had a bad feeling about some shit. I'll probably do a story time about that too. So I just couldn't really, get jiggy with it. At some point in time, I ended up, boop-de-doop-doop-dooping, Landon. I don't even know if anybody knows about that, but, we had this one night where we had a little barbecue, and everybody else fell asleep, Desi and her man, and so we ended up reconnecting on the phone, and he picked me up, and which honestly, I regret that shit. It was not, it wasn't worth it, because then he was even more colder than he was when we got back together the first fucking time. So it's just like, ew, it felt gross. I'm not gonna lie, it felt gross. Yeah, anyways. Because that's a whole story time in itself. Because it wasn't even just like, I keep ending up with this nigga every time something weird happened. Because it wasn't just like, he was like, yeah, damn, oh, you in town? It wasn't even like that. It's something weird happened, and I didn't want to stay in Desi's place. Because, like I say, everybody was asleep, and they were low-key drunk, but it's just some weird, anyways. Yeah, so I kind of picked up alcohol or wine a lot. And that's when I think I first noticed a problem. Because sometimes it would get to a point where I wouldn't want to stop drinking, even if it's like 3 fucking o'clock in the morning and we should be taking our asses to sleep. I would still want more alcohol. So, when I ended up coming back to Vegas, and that's when I stayed with them for the last time. And they did the whole, you got to pay for your own food. And I'm like, cool. But then, then that is when I stayed with them for the very last time. But I was still I wasn't drinking the way that I was when me and Desi was hanging out. But I was still have urges to drink wine. And I found myself saying shit to them. And normally I wouldn't. Unless someone got in my face and was doing that spitting shit. But normally I've never really talked back to them. What is it? Contrary to popular belief that I was just this wild, crazy child. I never talked back to them. I didn't cuss around them. I didn't sneak out of the house. I didn't stay out late. I had boyfriends. I had 2 when I was living with them. But not long enough, not to any extent outside of one of them turned into a fucking stalker. And Landon is the one that, oh yeah, I think I said that one in a different story. Yeah, Landon and then T, the stalker. But when I found myself being like, I know you motherfuckers is talking about me. I didn't say motherfuckers, but I'm I would be hostile a bit. And they'd be like, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, I know y'all talking about me. It just got a little weird. And it's not to say that I didn't have any right to be fucking tired of them. But 1, I'm under their roof. 2, don't do that shit while you're drinking. And 3, get the hell out of there. So I did, though. Outside of getting into that one argument that we had when I drank too much, I ended up moving out, and that was the last time I have ever lived with them, and I was 23. Yeah, and being out on my own. So when I was out on my own, like finally, I felt free as fuck. I felt good about life. I remember I started losing weight, and I never had like a huge weight. I never had a real weight problem. But because I constantly got picked on for having like big boobs, or oh yeah, you can't wear this because your butt. I was not a fucking big kid. I'm sure I had a bit of curve, but not enough to the point where I was always getting called out for having too much of, so I can't wear. I didn't have the type of body to where I shouldn't be able to wear the same things that the other jailbirds were wearing. But for some reason, when I wore them, everyone had to point out that my titties looked too titty-ish. I was, oh yeah, with that kind of body you have. Instead of just saying like, I wouldn't want them to say you have a nice body, but I don't know. I just feel like there could have been another way where they could have said that, hey, you're gifted a little bit. But I wasn't gifted. Like, I had B cups and other jailbirds maybe had A cups. They were acting like I had full double D's. And mind you, I've gotten to a point in my life where I've had double D's. I did not have that growing up. I did not. I had a B cup to everybody else's A cup. That's it. And they would make it so dramatic that it would make me feel fat. Or I would feel fat. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I had a fucking bomb ass body, and I did not know it. I didn't know it. And I think even when I knew it enough, because I'd be like taking pictures and shit, and like, oh my god, I'm so cute, I still felt in a sense overweight. And then at that time I was growing up around a lot of white people, so white people are a little bit more, I feel like white people are more wanting to be slender, whereas black people are more wanting to be curvaceous. I didn't grow up around people who wanted to be curvaceous. I grew up around people who kept pointing out the fact that I was curvaceous, and people who wanted to be skinny. So it just made me feel fat is the best way I could explain it. Yeah. So, when I started getting like a little bit more stressed, depressed because of the whole Bernard situation, I put on weight. I didn't get fat, but to me, I thought I was fat. And mind you, I've gotten fat, so that was not it. So I started losing weight and stuff like that. So to me, I felt like my life was improving because I looked good, I felt good. But I think by this time, though, I never wanted to be skinny anymore. I just definitely didn't want to be out of shape. And I had a hard time understanding what out of shape actually is versus what it looks like or what you feel like, kind of thing. And yeah, I felt good. It was probably outside of now, one of the best times of my life. And that's when I was dating, so I met a lot of people. But that's when I got with Richard. And Richard was an alcoholic, but I did not know he was alcoholic, which is why I explained in the other story time that when I noticed he was drunk already, and it was a red flag, but I didn't understand the depths of the red flag. When I said I felt like there was something about him and I couldn't put my finger on it. Whew! So that led to 6 years of alcoholism, because that's all he did every single fucking day. And that's how it got to a point. And for the longest time, though, I blamed him for the reason why I had become an alcoholic. But the truth is, it was my problem. Like I said, I was having issues with alcohol before I met him. And I should have never put that on him. However, when you have a problem, if you have even a semi sense of control over it, being around somebody who has absolutely no control over it and y'all falling head over heels for each other fast as fuck, yeah, it's a huge likely chance that person's going to bring you straight the fuck down. And I did not see that shit coming. I did not know I never imagined that I would be an alcoholic. After what I've seen growing up, I never. CEOs constantly throwing up. I remember being terrified of getting up to go use the bathroom because I'm constantly hearing somebody throw up. And because I had a phobia of vomiting and bugs, roaches specifically, I would be too terrified. To the point sometimes where I would actually pee on myself because I did not want to go to the bathroom because I knew if they saw me, they would make me clean up their vomit. No joke. They would make me clean up their vomit. And because I was the one with the goddamn insomnia, I would always end up being the one who has to do that. And I couldn't. I got to a point where I just couldn't, and I chose to pee on myself. Well, I didn't necessarily pee on myself. I would take some jailbirds' diapers and pee in them and then throw them away in the morning. It was fucking rough. So the depression that ensued because I had started drinking constantly, I shamed the hell out of myself for constantly talking about the CEOs being alcoholics and then becoming one myself. I used to feel like shit, and then I started gaining weight. So then I felt lazy. I felt like I was just this procrastinator. Then I find out he was cheating on me with older women, and so then I felt like this childish, useless, fucking, like I don't know anything. I'm just this irresponsible ass person, and you know what I mean? Then you have that cycle where you're drinking to run away from the pain, but then the pain catches up with you, and so you drink some more to run away from the pain, and then the pain catches up with you. And then I end up having many of spells of vomiting constantly. Like I said, the only time I would not drink is if I threw up. But then I still had the phobia of vomiting, so it's not like where people, like, they drink too much and then they throw up and then they're like, oh, I feel so much better. I'd be out, I'd be crying, I'd be fucking, like, you wouldn't see me for a whole few days. Like, I would just be in the bed for a whole few days, like, oh my God, the world's over because I just threw up. I would cry before, like, it was so chaotic that to even live a life now that isn't chaotic, sometimes it's weird. Because it's like, it's so quiet, right? And there's no one trying to fill up the quiet. It's just quiet. It's peace. And I'm okay with that. But back then when I was an alcoholic, I didn't want it to be quiet because now I have to hear my thoughts, and my thoughts are telling me that I ain't shit, and my thoughts is telling me that, like, oh, you're just like your CEOs, and like, you know, you did all this and you talked all that. And to be quite honest, it's not like I talked a whole lot about them. I mean, honestly, I used to just pretend like I forgave them. But because, you know, they were so manipulative, they would make it seem like they would say that everybody's talking about them. Like, right? And then you're constantly thinking, like, damn, do we talk about them? And so then I felt this shame, like, damn, I'm always talking about them. I ain't fucking saying none of this. Until I became an alcoholic, then yeah, I was talking about them all the fucking time. I'd be venting at anybody who would fucking... Oh my God, I do not miss the venting sessions. That was alcoholism. Why does it... I don't care. But I do not miss the venting sessions. I used to call people any way, in shape, or form. FaceTime, call them. People I ain't spoke... People I ain't spoke to in like 20 fucking years. I'm calling them like, yeah, because these motherfuckers, the reason why I'm like this is because of them. And then, like, when I would get around them, because we'd still all be hanging out and fucking drinking. Then when I would get around them, they would be like, yeah, because if your life sucks, it's your fault. Yeah. And it used to make me feel shamed. Like, damn, my life does suck. And they're never going to apologize. They're never going to be sorry for the way that they have raised us. They're never going to be sorry. I'm never going to get the closure I'm looking for. And so then I would internalize it. Like, damn, okay, now I got to be strong enough to move forward. And I wasn't. I was not at the time because I couldn't wrap my brain around how this is all my fault. What do you mean? This is not my fault. I would have never drank if Richard didn't. I would have never if they didn't. And the thing that I've learned is they were right. You know what I mean? And it's not like I would hand them like the reward of, the reason why my life is so amazing right now is because of y'all. I'm not necessarily saying that, but they were right. Because no one was making me drink. No one was making me spend my last dollar on alcohol. Nobody was making me dip out of the motherfucking house 12 o'clock at night because I just had to get that one last drink before I could go to sleep. Like, nobody was making me do that. You know what I mean? So at some point in time, they actually eventually got sober themselves. Well, I don't want to say themselves because I was not getting sober. But they had eventually gotten sober. And I thought I would be like, yeah, you know what I mean? But I wasn't. And I was very happy for them. But for some odd reason, it turned the cuckoo clock on more. On, if your life fucking sucks, it's on you. And I'm not saying they're cuckoo for saying that. But clearly, like, if I find someone right now and I beat their ass, right? Like, to a pulp, I just, boom, just, and like, they're unfucking recognizable. And they internalize that in whatever way that they do. And then I see them a month later and I'm like, hey, if your life sucks right now, it's on you. Or I see them a year from now and they're like, aren't you that? And I'm like, oh, damn, yeah, that's me. And then they like, I don't know, for some reason decide to tell me how fucked up their life got after I did that shit. And I'm just like, oh, well, if your life sucks, that's on you. Like, shit, you made those choices. Yeah, but what? You know what I mean? I wouldn't be wrong by saying that because I wasn't around for every decision that you fucking made because you was pissed off that a random fucking stranger beat your ass. No, they weren't there every time I bought a bottle. They weren't there every time I spent the money. They weren't there every time I broke something, got angry, almost ended up in jail, did end up in jail that one time. They weren't there. However, to be the person who destroyed me from the fucking inside out for majority of my life, and then to turn around because you're sober now you're better than me, and whatever I do or whatever decision that I made based on my upbringing it's on you. To me, let me be honest. If they would have said that in a more loving way, I guess, or in a more of a way that says, damn, we're sorry for what we've done. Well, we would like for you to now make better decisions. How do we get you there? I don't know, something. This be a different story. But they was just literally like, damn, like, niggas are still got a shitty life. That's on them. Because we sober. Woo! Like, dead ass. And it's like, they're not saying me. They're not being like, oh, Mickey, you fucked up. You got to make better decisions. Because we did. They're not even saying it like that. They're speaking as if they're talking about somebody that's not here. Like, somebody outside of this gathering that we're having. And then they're like, you know what I mean? Boom, boom, to me. And it's like, but you're talking about me indirectly and you're expecting me to agree? As if I don't know you're talking about me. Because who else would you be talking to? Nobody else that you fucked over turned into an alcoholic. Well, maybe one other person, but even then, that person didn't even turn into an alcoholic until like way later. That person didn't turn into an alcoholic until I got sober. So it's like, I know you're talking about me. Why am I here? You know what I mean? Like, why invite me over and be like, and then they got to a point where they'd be like, damn, if we were still drinking every time she comes over, we would have been arguing. So now I'm the reason why your fucking relationship for 30 fucking years is shit. It's not the fact that he was fucking my best friend's mama. It ain't the fact that he was trying to get me to have sex with him so that I could live with y'all. It wasn't that. Oh no, it's because I drink now for the last 5 years. Now that I'm alcoholic, I would have been the reason why y'all relationship would have been fucked if y'all was still drinking. You know, you see what I'm saying? So it's not your fault that I'm an alcoholic, but it's my fault that you have a shitty relationship and you were an alcoholic. How does that make sense? So yeah, the gaslighting and the manipulation, I had to come to terms with the fact that a lot of people that I was around, my ex, the COs, some friends, I was never going to heal. And I desperately wanted to heal. I can honestly say that I wasn't necessarily just sitting around. Well, after a while, I wasn't necessarily just sitting around hoping and wishing. I started to actually do shit. So the first time I had decided to get sober is when I had my second to last child. And the reason why was because, like, with my son, I wasn't an alcoholic, so it, obviously it was easy to stop drinking when I was pregnant with him, because it's not like I had like bottles on bottles that I had to pour out or anything. I wasn't a drinker. Yeah, I wasn't really a drinker at that time when I got pregnant with him. But my daughter, my first daughter, I was an alcoholic, or I was at least becoming one. Because me and Richard would just drink constantly. Drink, cook, listen to music. Like, that was our fucking thing. Yeah, so after I had her, I went right back into drinking. I stopped drinking the moment I found out I was pregnant, and then I went right back into it damn near like a day or something later. Got a bottle of rosé, I remember that. But with my second to last child, for some reason, it's not for some reason, obviously I was an alcoholic, but I didn't stop drinking once I found out I was pregnant. Now, mind you, I was drinking I don't think that matters. I wasn't drinking hard yet. I wasn't like full alcoholic, but I was drinking like beers. And because I still had some of these beers left, I didn't want to waste them. So I probably drank for like up to a week after finding out that I was pregnant. And that, I don't know, it did something to me mentally, because I'm like, that's not something that I would do. It's just not something that I would do. And at that time I was smoking cigarettes, so I would still smoke the cigarette. But the cigarette, it just smelled terrible. So I probably had like one cigarette after finding out that I was pregnant with her. But I had at least maybe a can of beer a day for a week. Now, judging on the height of my alcoholism, that ain't shit. But it's just knowing that you're caring and you don't care enough to even stop. And it ate at me. So after her, I had actually stopped drinking for months after her. But I took Richard back. I'm not blaming him. I still made the decision on my own. But I took him back after that. And he started talking about port wine. And I bought some. And then I went right back down a fucking spiral. And then it got worse. Up until 2021. Yeah, 2021. I was like, what is that? Up until where am I at? Up until 2021. And it was my 30th birthday in 2021. I had nothing but shitty fucking birthdays since I met Richard. He was the type of person who said, I was gonna. It's funny, I just saw a fucking TikTok about that. It was like, I was gonna ask niggas. But he would do that, and we wouldn't do shit. I would get some alcohol, though. I would get some alcohol and a nice fucking cake to fatten me right up. But we never really did anything. We didn't. Well, let me not say that. There was one time we went to an escape room. But then he complained the entire time because he had a migraine. So all the pictures is of him holding his head. Yeah. So I had decided on my 30th birthday that I wasn't going to ask anyone No. Not that I wasn't going to ask anyone, because that's where I fucked up at. That I wasn't going to have anyone pay for anything. That way, my birthday would still go. And I got me like a hotel room. I got me some tickets to the Jabberwockies. And it was something else. Something I had planned to do like a staycation, go see a show, and something crazy. I think it was like bungee jumping or zip lining. It was something like that. And I paid for it, everything. And because I was this fucking I'm a recovering people pleaser. I thought that if I showed that I have some worth because I have the money to do my own thing, and it was going to be big and grand, that people would be, the people in my life that I wanted to come with me, that they would be like, oh, look at her, she's doing good, or something like that. And that way, everyone would actually show up. No one wanted to go. Not even that no one wanted to go. Everybody's like, oh my God, oh yeah, let's do that. And then when they came time, the day before, no one had any tickets, no one bought shit. Not even Richard. And it honestly, I was so fucking desperate to be loved that I was gonna buy everyone's tickets. And luckily I listened to my intuition, because something told me don't fucking do that. And I had no self-control. I was very impulsive when I was an alcoholic. So I'm honestly surprised that I didn't just do it anyways. Because I bought my bottle that night. That's for sure. And so the right thing to do would have just to be go anyway. But I didn't do that. So I wasted a whole lot of money. I got drunk as fuck. Had a hangover so bad that I didn't even go. I did not celebrate anything. I spent my 30th birthday in the bed, sick. And you would think children, beautiful, loving, innocent, cute children would be enough to stop you. Alone, just that alone. But it was not enough. It wasn't enough. And that's why I had drank after my first two daughters. But for some reason, that birthday thing, let me not even say that it's the children. That's why I said the children alone, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough that I had children and that I'm constantly putting us all in danger drinking every night. That wasn't enough. I should say that. But when that situation happened, and then he decided to pop up on our, at the time, youngest daughter's birthday, because her birthday is, I was about to say 6 days after mine. And then instead of celebrating her first birthday, this was her first birthday, instead of celebrating her first birthday for her, because she wasn't walking it, so he felt like we shouldn't do anything yet because she wasn't walking. I felt like we should do something anyways because it's her first birthday. She's not going to have another first. Now, I did dress her up, and she looks so cute. And she's, like, we did that. So there's still the memory, like, where's that picture? The picture of her on her first birthday. However, we didn't do anything for her birthday. Because you know what we did? We celebrated my birthday. He couldn't celebrate my birthday on my birthday. He had to take away from her birthday and say, oh, she can't walk anyway, so we're going to go out for your birthday. So we went out to dinner. I don't know if that's like, but at least I don't know if it's that or not. To me personally, that shit was whack as fuck. Not the day, not the birthday, not the idea. The idea is whack as fuck. Because to me, honestly, I believe that he felt some type of way that I was able to pay for a grand ass motherfucking birthday, and I decided not to pay for him, and he had to pay for himself. And I think he was ashamed to say that him, the man with the 9 to 5, couldn't afford what I did for my birthday. That's what I feel like it was. Because to this day, he will say that I didn't invite him. And I'm like, the desperate ass Mickey didn't invite you? The fuck? I know you fucking lying. But yeah, so it sparked something in me. Something real bad. Something good. Something good. But I just mean bad. Like, I had this fucking... It was, I don't know. I felt on fire. I felt like I woke up for the first time. So yeah, I had decided, like, I was going to do any and everything to figure out how to fuck to get sober. So I was looking up, like ways that I'm irregulated, or, like, what am I not doing enough of? You know, and then you hear the same thing that I'm about to say right now. You got to make the choice. I did not want to hear that shit. I didn't want to fucking hear that shit. I said I don't want to drink no more. That's the choice. I said it. Boom. We done. But no, like, you have to make the choice. Making the choice is not drinking. That's how you show. You don't say, you could start by constantly saying it, but it's not necessarily something you say. It's something you make the choice of, and then you do it. You don't drink. So it was the 4th of July. So I was looking up ways that I was unregulated, and I searched up on Amazon stress drinks, and what came up was, what is that drink? It's a blue. I never remember the name of it. I always just remember that it says Coexist on it, but it was just like Zentify. It's a drink called Zentify, and there was a blue. It's like the light blue version and the dark blue version. And I got the light blue version because I also read that exercise or losing weight kind of thing, feel better about yourself. So I was going to try to lose weight. And so I got the low calorie version of Zentify, and it was blue. And it had GABA, magnesium, L-theanine. And I told myself that, because it came in like 12 cans, but it was like $36. And I did not want to spend that money on that because I had just wasted a whole lot of money. But I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to see how I feel, and I'm going to do my best. And so on the 4th of July, instead of drinking, drank these Zentifys. And I remember it made me feel calm as fuck. I felt relaxed. I remember feeling that, like, it's like a wave of, like, relaxation on my muscles. And I didn't drink on the 4th of July. I did not drink. Me and Richard spent 4th of July together with the kids. And we went out and we watched fireworks at my apartment. And I set up, like, a whole barbecue thing. You cannot heal where you're unhealed at, or where you became unhealed at. And in this case, it's not exactly the same apartment when I first became an alcoholic, but it's the person. It was the person. There was no fucking way in hell that I was going to be able to heal with him. Because, like, being awake and realizing the only reason why we ever do anything exciting, fun, family-oriented, holiday-wise, is if I plan it. I had to buy the barbecue. I had to set up the grill. I had to do the whole... Oh, my baby. I had to set up the whole thing. Because then I realized if I didn't do this, we wouldn't have done anything. We would not have done anything together. And then he didn't want to buy any fireworks, so we went out in the front and watched the neighbors. And we had some really cool neighbors. They're very invasive, but pretty decent. But if they didn't offer us any fireworks, we wouldn't have had any. And then the whole time they were offering us fireworks, he was acting like they were weirdos. Instead of just realizing that we have kids and they just want the kids to join in. Just because some of them happen to be more fucking attractive than you, that does not mean all of a sudden they want me. The kids. My daughter's best friend, like, that was one of their daughters was my daughter's best friend. So it was like, it was about the children. A week later, I was drinking again. Actually, I think it was less than a week later. Probably like 4 days. I was drinking again. I started drinking again. So I lasted, I think, 2-3 days. That was July. And when I was drinking again, there was a firework that we had. Because I want to say like a day later, he decided to bring these fireworks. Didn't stick around to pop them with the kids or do anything. So I'm not going to call myself dumb. My drunk self decided I was going to do them. And one of them was a dud, but not the dud that doesn't do anything. The dud that fucking explodes. So when the dud explodes, I put my leg in front of this thing and explodes on my leg instead of shooting at the children, because it was going to shoot towards the kids, my children and the neighbor's child. And I stepped my leg in front of it and it exploded on my leg. So not only did I feel so fucking guilty, the way that the neighbor was looking at me when she was grabbing her child, and I've done some embarrassing things. I've done more embarrassing things than that. Way more embarrassing things being drunk. But it was the feeling of like, most of the time I'm indirectly putting my children in danger. My children are never actually in danger. I was constantly in danger, but I think of it as I was thinking of it as indirectly, because I'm looking at it like it's not affecting them, it's affecting me. Obviously it's affecting them, because if something happens to me, that changes their whole life. But I was drunk. I wasn't thinking of it that way. Them kids are fine. But in that situation, to see like, oh, you're directly putting them in harm. Because why the fuck would you pop a firework when you're drunk? And it's not like I've ever done some dumbass shit like that before, where I'm like playing with fire or fucking, low-key explosives. So the shame I felt, so I stopped going outside. I felt so fucking stupid. Yeah. And she was definitely never allowed to come over after that. And I felt so bad because my daughter lost her best friend. I mean, they would still play outside and see each other, but as far as like actually coming over, never happened again. Yeah, I held a lot of shame and guilt from that. So somewhere in, I don't think anything actually bad happened after that. It was just that I was holding on to that. And that was probably like, what, July 6th, 7th? So then on August 8th of 2021, about a month later, oh no, that is what happened. So yeah, I was holding this shame and guilt from everything that was happening that year. Everything that had ever happened. But more specifically closer to what was happening that year. Wanting to get sober, couldn't. Wanting to get sober, couldn't. Losing weight, gaining the weight, losing the weight, gaining the weight. Thinking his relationship is fine. Boom, he's gone. Thinking he's not lying to me about something. There's a fucking Valentine's card. Well, actually, I think the Valentine's card thing happened afterwards. But, or there's text messages, or there's weird phone calls. I got so fucking exhausted that I had contemplated committing suicide. And that was August 7th. And yeah, I had drank so much hard liquor that like my hands was doing like, dang, I can't do it. Hold on. Dang, I got some steady ass hands. But my hands was just like, and it was like this weird anxiety. And I like, it's a feeling of like when I would drink a lot, right? And then I'd fall asleep, but when I wake up, I'm still low-key drunk. So I would kind of be teetering in between feeling good / drunk, but feeling like I'm going to be sick if I don't hurry up and get more alcohol. And it would have me feeling like this until it gets to a point where I don't have, like, either I'm not getting the alcohol or I'm not getting it fast enough. So then it teeters on more towards this anxiety as if like the world is ending. Like you couldn't fucking tell me that the aliens wasn't coming down right now about to kill us all. Like it just felt very like end of the world. Like my anxiety was through the roof. And I remember calling the COs And I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, the way that I feel right now, I don't feel safe by myself. Like, I don't feel safe with myself. And the kids were just, the kids were kidsing. The kids were being kids. But, kids don't understand that. Like, okay, this adult is teetering on the fucking edge here. And let's all sit down and, like, be quiet. Or, let's clean up our messes. They don't know. So, they're being kids. And it's not like they're having this parental figure who can be like, hey, with some structure, y'all need to clean that up. Because I'm in the fucking room like one of these. It's not funny, but looking back, it's like, yeah, they're running amok because there's no structure. There's no one checking on them. There's no one being like, hey, I need y'all to clean up this room in about 15 minutes because we're about to make some food. They don't even know when the fuck they're about to eat. Because I don't know when the fuck they're about to eat. Because I'm in like this. So I'm calling them and I'm like, I don't feel okay. Like, this is, and I've had a lot of these moments, mind you. But, like, this specific one was like, I don't think I'm going to make it out of this one. I don't think I'm going to make it out of this one. It's not like I didn't have money for alcohol, but I just couldn't see myself. I couldn't do it. I'm like, I don't want to chase the bottle. I don't want to do it. And surprisingly, this is one of those times, probably one of the, no, there's 1, 2, I said I can count it, but 4. There's 4 times in my life where the COs came through in a way that I never expected, and that kind of helped me change the trajectory of my life. But I didn't tell them. Like, it's funny because when these things happen, though, well, outside of that one, because I was a kid, and another one, I was not expecting them to come through, but I wasn't necessarily changing my life. But there's 2 times, the other later 2 times in my life, and this is one of them, where I wanted to change my life desperately, but I didn't feel comfortable telling them that I'm about to change my life in a very drastic way. And if you help me with this, life will literally be the best fucking thing ever for me. I never tell them that part, because honestly, I believe if I told them that part, they wouldn't have done it. Unfortunately, I would always have to explain things as if I'm in dire need. Now, in this case, I was, but there was a back plan that I was not trying to tell them. And that was, if they take my children and watch them for a few days, I was going to take that time to get sober. By any fucking means necessary. I told myself, bitch, if you gotta throw up. And I was like one of them people that I would literally drink again just to avoid throwing up. Like, there are times where I knew, like, oh yeah, I could definitely quit. I could quit. This is the time. But the feeling of like, oh, I'm gonna throw up. The phobia was real. I only just got over the phobia last year, honestly. And that is because when I was pregnant with my last child, I could not hold nothing down. And I didn't want to make the pregnancy miserable. So I literally, like, told myself, I basically coached myself into, God, that hurt. Coached myself into not being afraid of throwing up anymore. Because it's like, fuck it, throw up. It's what pregnancy feel like. And I'm not saying like, no, I'm not afraid of throwing up. I'm not saying that. I just mean, if I guess you'd have to see how dramatic I am when I need to throw up. Like, I would do anything to not throw up, which would make me sicker longer if it's something that I need to get out, is what I'm saying. I'd like eat salt or I'll stay in the bed until the nausea goes away, versus it might just be something that I need to get out. Like, if I have food poisoning and I need to throw up, no, I would be like, fuck that. I could ride this food poisoning out. Like, I would do shit like that. They had me fucked up. But yeah. So I was just like, fuck it. If I gotta throw up, I'm gonna throw up. But I didn't want to tell them that. I just wanted to tell them how I felt. If they don't help, then I was more explaining, like, because I didn't think they were gonna help me, to be quite honest. So I was mostly just talking in the present tense of like, fuck, if I have to do something, I have to. I don't think I'm going to survive this. And so they were just like, oh yeah, you could let the 2 older ones stay with me. We ain't taking care of no babies because we don't change no diapers. And I was like, it beats nothing. So I call Richard and I ask him like, hey, I need you to take our youngest child. My parents are going to take the oldest. And I actually told him, because I was a fool. And I was just like, yeah, I need, well, I think I mostly said that I don't feel good, but then I was definitely more explaining to him that, like, I want to get sober. This motherfucker tells me I don't want to take her. And I'm not saying the right person saying this, it wouldn't have made sense. But just him saying it, to me, it was straight bullshit. But he's like, oh no, I don't want to take her because I feel like if I take her, you're going to do something to yourself. Now, mind you, this man has seen me do some fucking things to myself in one of those spouts of depression, alcoholism, I don't want to be here anymore. And he never helped me. This man would literally watch me. So, you're worried? You're not worried if people are there and I'm doing something to myself. But you're worried that if people aren't there, what fucking difference does it make? Dead is dead. You just want to be a witness? What the fuck? I don't know. And it really hurt me. It hurt me bad. Because I didn't know. I just didn't know if I could. She was a baby at the time. So it's like, the bulk of the reason why I'm so overwhelmed is because I don't have a moment to myself. And then I'm constantly drinking. So the most neediest child, I talked myself into it. I'm just going to fucking do it anyways. I basically tricked my brain into thinking that, yes, she is the baby. And yes, she needs me more. But she wasn't walking yet. So I don't have to necessarily chase her around or anything. You know what I mean? Like if I just put some stuff together, make bottles, bring in the water. That way when I'm sick, I don't have to move. Because it's not like with the bigger kids where I got to get up and I got to go cook. So, yeah. I gaslit myself into believing that this was going to work. And it did. Now, mind you, when it did, then all of a sudden that's when I made it through day 1. And then he popped up. But he still didn't take her. I remember I brought that up. I brought that up more recently. Like, why didn't you help me? Dumbass question. Because I knew the answer to it already. But, I guess I just wanted to see if he would say he didn't want me to get sober. The crazy thing is that, because I never drank again after that. And so, not oddly enough, I thank them. I thank the COs for taking them. And even though they didn't know what I was doing. And the crazy thing about it though is, when it was time to bring them back, they kept prolonging it. So when I'm like, oh, hey, when you bring my babies back? Right? Like, miss my babies when you bring them back. Oh, we can't bring them back today. We're going to have to bring them back tomorrow. So I'd be like, oh, okay, like something wrong? Oh, no, yeah, it's just, we're so tired and we can't. The next day, oh, yeah, so they want to stay a little longer. So, yeah, I know they didn't know what I was doing. I didn't realize that they were being weirdos on some other shit. And to the point where I ended up having to threaten them and be like, hey, well, if y'all can't bring them back, then I'm going to just have Richard come pick them up. Because I don't know what the fuck y'all thought this was. You think he about to let his children just, what the fuck? Like, but I was alcoholic. I think they thought, like, oh, yeah, got her. But then when they found out that I got sober, they tried to start some shit. And I just went no contact. Because I was like, y'all, no one's fucking this up for me. And after I went no contact, I didn't talk to them for a year. I said, fuck it. I won't talk to nobody until I feel secure in my sobriety. Talk to them a year later. Hey, how y'all doing? On year 2. And now I'm low-key doing this shit again. Not even low-key, high-key. No contact again, because they're weird. But I think I'm going to go no contact this time for the rest of my fucking life. Because, yeah. People cannot stand to see you happy. So I'll say this, right? Everybody's story is going to be different. Whether your story is long and you've been drinking for 15, 20 years. You know, what they did show me, the CEOs, was that if you really want to, you just have to find that way. And everyone's way is going to look different. And I think that's why sometimes when you're looking for the answers, like I was, everybody's answers piss me the fuck off. Because you're all saying the same dumbass shit. You gotta work out. Do I look like I want to work out? You know what I mean? So I would try that, but I would I would put wine in my water bottle. Was it getting done? Yeah. There'd be times I'd walk for like 2 fucking hours, sipping wine, happy as hell. And I was losing weight, but it just didn't register for me to be, you know what I mean? It just didn't register. It didn't register for me to work out. Because I would find a way. I would find a way to incorporate alcohol in whatever happy-go-lucky thing I'm doing. And it becomes useless. So I had to find my thing. My thing became vitamins. My thing became vitamins and time to myself. I realized I have to take time to myself. I can't just be mommy 24/7. I have to have some time or a moment that is just mine and it's quiet. Or it's semi-quiet because right now I got jazz. And vitamins. But I think with vitamins, honestly, I think it could do well for everyone. It really can. You just have to be consistent. And I think it's kind of hard to be consistent when you're drinking. Right? Because when you're not drinking, you're going to be like, yeah, let me do this. But the moment you drink, everything's about this drink. So I think the best thing to do is don't fucking give up on yourself. Find your thing. Maybe your thing is working out and then you don't want to drink. Maybe your thing is weed. I tried weed too. It did help, but I was afraid that it was going to turn into another addiction. Which it actually didn't. It didn't for me. Like I still do weed. Do people say that? Do weed? But like I don't smoke weed every day. I don't smoke weed. Oh, shit. I think I have the same weed I had a year ago. I think the same weed I bought a year ago. I think it has to, whatever translates well in your life. Because if I feel like, okay, it's been like a long, stressful week or a long, stressful month, then I'll find like that day where I'll just have like jazz and a book and I'll smoke a little something. I'll make me cute little healthy snacks. But that took time. I didn't start getting into weed until like a year after I stopped drinking because I didn't want it to cross over. And so when I picked my vice, if you will, it was weed. I tried shrooms, but I don't think shrooms is something you can get addicted to. But the shrooms wasn't for not drinking anymore. I found that the drinking wasn't the problem. I mean, obviously it's the problem. But the root of the problem for me was depression. I was severely depressed. I had no self-worth. I didn't believe in myself. I was insecure as fuck. You spend years of your life with people being like, you're so conceited. Look at you. You think you are that bitch. But inside, you're just like, oh, this is ugly. That's ugly. This is ugly. I don't like this. I wish I could change this. I wish I can change that. It puts you in this weird whirlwind. And it's like you don't even know who the fuck you are. Because most of the voices in your head is other people. And when you finally do have that peace and quiet, now you talking shit about yourself. Because that's all you ever hear. So, yeah, I had to get to the root of the problem for me. And it was depression. You know, fear of abandonment. Like, all of that shit. And I guess what you could say my starting point was that Zentify. It was the magnesium, the GABA and the L-theanine, and then I started taking a multivitamin, but it was generic multivitamins, but I do feel like they helped something. Oh, I tried CBD, which I think people consider CBD weed, but you're not going to get high. But the CBD was to help me with my anger issues. I use the CBD for my anger issues. I use the Zentify to feel like I had something that I could constantly pick up and drink. And then I started on multivitamins, and then I started doing my research on multivitamins. So like now, I make sure I buy a good brand. I don't do no Nature's Way, no, what the hell that other one is, that green bottle. The green bottle, the yellow bottle, don't get those. Yeah, I take my motherfucking vitamins. I do a lot of walking, no wine in the bottle this time. I do like a lot of baths, salt baths. But now I'm doing it, like now anything I do, it is just to make sure that I never experience depression again. I don't even think about alcohol. Like nothing I'm doing is to keep me from drinking alcohol. That's so past. I couldn't even imagine. Like there's times where I've thought about it. Like I would get the strongest wine with the most alcohol volume, and I would try to chug it, but I couldn't because it was fucking disgusting. And I would like in my throat. But I would be trying to force it because that's how I got into liquor, because I knew I wanted something stronger, but I just couldn't chug these damn wines no more. But I'm like, even just imagining slow sipping a wine right now makes me want to throw up. Because I don't even know why I don't know why I was never honest with myself. I don't fucking like wine. It's disgusting. It's nasty. I don't like it. And I would drink the driest wine too. Oof. I would say like the port wine is good, but I just don't think the flavors aren't worth it. It's not worth it. Like I don't need to go out of my way to taste that shit. It's disgusting. Find what works for you. Do research. And I used to do this stuff while I was drinking wine, so I would be like happy, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like I would be depressed, like, oh, we're, because I think sometimes that doesn't help if you're angrily or desperately or lackfully looking for answers. Everything's going to fucking piss you off. I promise you, everything's going to piss you off. Because then sometimes it's going to be like, what if you don't have the money? Like, I don't have the money for all these motherfucking vitamins. It's going to piss you off. So, I suppose at your happiest moments, look for the answers. Don't look for the answers when you're desperate. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And if you got weirdos in your life like I did, don't tell them everything. Tell them the basis, what they need to know to get you from A to B. Don't tell them all the details. They will fucking sabotage the hell out of that shit. And then it'll make you more depressed if you start drinking again because you know what they're doing. If you have shitty people in your life, it's going to be hard to change things with those people still around. Because like I said, they're going to do whatever they can to sabotage. When I first started losing this weight, this man brought home a whole cake. You know how much I love sweets? Why would you do that? He would constantly bring home sweets. Constantly be drinking his ass up. Oh, look at this new stuff I was trying. Look at this pina colada. You know how much I fucking love pina coladas? Wasn't even a pina colada man. Now you want to try all the daiquiris and the pina coladas and the margaritas. All my favorite shit. Found skinny wines. Where was all this good flavorful stuff when I was an alcoholic? Mind you, I was trying to lose weight before I even stopped being alcoholic. He ain't find no skinny wine, no skinny margaritas. Nah, he wanted me to be the overweight chick at home, drinking. But now that I'm losing weight and I'm not drinking as much, oh no, look, you can buy something that's better for you. It's hard. What do they? I feel like the saying is you cannot heal in the same place that you broke in. Sometimes that's not the literal place. It's the people. The people are the place that broke you, and you cannot heal with them around. You got to leave them alone. It's going to take some fucking time. When I first tried to stop drinking, like I said, it was with my second child. I didn't officially make the change until my third. So that's a whole 3 years. It took me 3 years before I solidified no longer drinking. Other times I would just like fast, and then like for that week I wasn't drinking, or for those 2 days I wasn't drinking. But I would try to tell myself it was because I wanted to lose weight. I didn't need to stop drinking. It's gonna take a whole lot of, girl, you be fine. Just one glass. But give yourself some grace. Not too much. Not too much grace. Because you know how we get when we drunk. That grace turns into, oh yeah, you're fine. Now you like 5 bottles in. Grace ain't so graceful no more. But patience. Patience is key. Patience is key. Persistence, patience, consistency. And you will make it. I believe that everyone has the ability to make it out of something as long as they want to. So even if it starts as a thought that you want to, consistent, persistent, you know what it is. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. Just be patient. Patience. Just be patient. You'll get there. And if you want to go broad on that thing, vitamins, exercise, self-care, alone time, meditation, affirmations. Don't try to fit it all in at once, because you're going to get to a point where you're like, I don't do this shit. So pick the one thing. I'm telling you right now, I know as an alcoholic, hearing this is going to be fucking annoying. You don't want to be patient. You want the shit now. But it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that, because anything that lasts long doesn't happen like that. Just remember that this is going to last you a lifetime. Your world is going to fucking change drastically for the better. Be patient. And don't worry about being bored once you get sober. That passes once you start incorporating things that you like and back into your life. You will be bored. You will be bored. But like now, I could just be sitting here quietly reading a book. It's not boring. But it's not boring because I'm used to it now. At first, it's just like, you just fucking tapping your damn, what do I do? Everything you used to do that you did with drinking is going to seem boring. Be persistent. But congratulations to me. 3 years. I'm excited to see you guys for year 4. Well, I'm going to see y'all in the next video. But as far as this topic goes, I'll see y'all in 2025. Peace.